The Arcadia neighborhood was established in 1919 and planned as an oasis in the desert with citrus groves and upscale homes, but developers fell on hard times. Through a chain of events, a banker from Kansas City became the owner of most of the Arcadia property. He built this grand hacienda between 1925 and 26, when Camelback was still a dirt and gravel road. In 1928, the banker sold his home, which included 40 acres, to the Sewer family of Pennsylvania. Mr. Sewer was a Pennzoil heir, and 3 generations of his family enjoyed the home as a winter retreat. In 1984, the property went on sale, and it was then that Martha Shemer toured the home and decided it needed to be preserved as a special landmark. Martha Shemer purchased the property, donating it to the city of Phoenix, and thus the Shemer Art Center and Museum was established. Well, welcome to the Shemer Art Center. We're so happy to be here for this edition of City Scene. And I'd like to introduce now the director of the facility, Christine Hall. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Sydney. Good to have you here.
Thank you. It's so gorgeous. You must enjoy being out here.
I love it. We all do.
I guess we really have a big thanks, a tremendous thanks for Martha Shemer for providing this incredible facility to the city.
Oh, absolutely, Sydney. Martha had known about the house for some time. And when it came up for sale in 1984, she came to visit it, and it's a wonderful story. Lily Nelson, who had been managing the house for the Sewer family for some time, took her on a tour through the house. And what really sold Martha and told her that it must be saved is when she came to the porch and saw this beautiful panoramic view of Camelback Mountain. And being at the base of Camelback Mountain and in this wonderful neighborhood.
It's stunning.
It is. It just really is.
I wanted to mention that the original part of the building is way on the east end, isn't it? Where it was originally going to be for the Arcadia Water Company. And
that is correct.
Just a foreman's shack over there?
Yes, and that was built in 1919, so that was the original house in the Arcadia area.
Okay, that's amazing. Well, it's called the Shemer Art Center. Obviously, it's much more than just a gallery or exhibit space. What all is the goal here for the center?
Well, I like to refer to it as an art education center. So we have art classes for kids 4 years old through adults, drawing, painting. And then we have exhibits that change monthly, and that's all contemporary art, ceramics, paintings, metalwork. And then we have a lecture series as well. So we're trying to educate the public, make it a warm facility where people enjoy coming. You know, we're part of a wonderful neighborhood here, and we just want the neighbors to be able to walk on down and enjoy themselves and enjoy the art.
Well, I think that's one thing that's so wonderful about it. It's not just for you know, maybe the art collector, it's actually for the community. And anyone can come. You have a catalog of classes. Anyone can come here and take classes. And you're also really a proponent of emerging artists.
Oh, absolutely. We're one of the few facilities where artists who wouldn't get a chance to exhibit in another space can come here and apply and be accepted and show their work.
Well, we're going to tour the facilities, of course, and I thought we'd start inside with the living room, and you can give us a little information on some of the special historical features.
Great.
All right?
Okay.
Oh, this is beautiful. This was built, this whole portion, in between 1925 and 1926?
That is correct.
And it's Santa Fe Mission style.
Adobe.
Tell us some of the features that are so unique about this portion of the house.
Well, these are the original walls dating back to the 1920s. They've been totally untouched. We did have an artist come in at some point and touch up all the little cracks and the little dings in the wall. But today we have people building new houses, and they just want this same effect.
It's amazing. And the color as well. And just above Matt, these light fixtures, obviously, from the mid-1920s.
Right. All the light fixtures are original, with the exception, of course, of the track lighting.
Beautiful. Now, there's something very unique that I know you wanted to point out about the fireplace.
Yes, this is the original fireplace, and you can see the Latin inscription on it, Ars longa, vita brevis, which means art is long, life is short.
Well, that was rather prophetic.
Many people think it to be so, that this old house just knew it was going to be an art center at some point.
Really
so
fantastic.
It's very special for us to to still have that.
Now, just out to the west end of the living room, you have what used to be a sunroom?
Right, and it was enclosed by Henry Curver, and now we use it as our front office area. But you can see how well lighted it is with the 3 panels of windows.
Rough place to work.
Yes.
You mentioned Henry Curver, and he actually built all of this portion except for the very original room to the very east side. He built this, as I said, 1925 to 26, but he was a very prominent Arizonan. He was president of Arizona's First National Bank for many years.
That is correct.
And so he built this home for his family, and it was really one of the first homes on the south side of Camelback Road. Is that true?
The original home was the first home in Arcadia, which, by the way, stands for Place Beautiful. And you can see why it's called that, being at the base of Camelback Mountain. It's just a gorgeous area.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And this is what you call the front gallery?
Yes, the living room and the dining room are considered our front gallery. And in the front gallery, we exhibit emerging Arizona artists. Now, right now, we have Candace Eisenfeld with her beautiful acrylic paintings on the wall.
And we're going to visit with Candace later, so she'll be able to give us more information about her work.
And the ceramics you see here is the emerging artists from last year, 1999, from our annual ceramics show. And they have the distinction of exhibiting in the front gallery the next year.
Really nice. The living room I wanted to point out, we're standing in and facing the dining room, which houses some original furniture.
That is correct. The table there and the chairs that you see are the original furniture. And there's also a bureau over here as well. Yes, all the furniture in the house was donated as well, and we were able to use some of it, as you see in the dining room area here. This beautiful table and the chairs with the carving in the backs and
the leather seats. It's stunning.
Oh, right. And then this buffet here, which we use for our opening receptions and also for artwork.
Must be wonderful to work here.
We love working here. Everyone loves to work here. You just can't beat it. The setting and just people who come in here say it's so serene, and it is.
Now, I know the Sewers that bought the home in 1928 from Mr. Curver, they added an entire wing with bedrooms, which is now used as gallery space.
That is correct. There's 4 bedroom sections back here.
So 4 bedrooms, that was rather extravagant, I guess, in the late 1920s?
Yes, it was, and they're rather large bedrooms as well.
So the first one houses the dollhouse, the famous Howard House, is that true?
That is correct.
Okay.
Right in this room.
Chris, this is incredible, the Howard House. I know it's a permanent exhibit here. Tell us a little bit about it.
It was built by Frank Howard for his granddaughter Julie back in the 1950s.
Well, it's a recreation of an 1870s colonial house. Mm-hmm. And from the background I read, it's got everything from antiques in it to 23 little miniature books.
And there's some carved marble in there as well, and the floor is all marble.
I understand there's mahogany staircase, and there's antique needlework, and there's a stove that actually heats up.
That's right.
This is pretty unbelievable.
Everyone loves the Howard House. It's something we're very proud of.
Well, now you have, 3 more rooms that were bedrooms down the hall that are used for your exhibits?
Uh-huh.
Want to give us a look at that?
Sure.
All right.
Down there.
Well, this is the new wing of the house where all the bedrooms are converted to gallery space. And I see you have quite a large ceramic exhibit. What's the theme or the title for this show?
The title is Pathways 2000, and this is our annual ceramic show during this time of the year. As you can see, there's ribbons in there. So the show was juried by a judge. We have both functional and non-functional pieces, and it's quite a beautiful exhibit. And then the 3rd room would be down at the end of the hall. We have the 3 rooms.
This is great. I mean, just the architecture of the house is so wonderful. Well, Chris, this is so neat. We're walking on floors from 1928, and we're surrounded with all this modern artwork, old light fixtures. This is so cool. Give us a little bit of information about some of these pieces. I know there's one right over here with a red ribbon on it.
As a matter of fact, this is our emerging artist for next year. And it's Karen Farias, and this is her piece that won the award for that. So she'll have the distinction of being in the front gallery.
Now, are these pieces all available for purchase?
Yes, they are. Every once in a while on the title tag, it'll have an NFS, not for sale. And you'll see as you look around there's some red tags, and so we've sold quite a few pieces from this show.
Yeah, that's good to know. Well, we're lucky enough, you've arranged for us to talk to Candace Eisenfeld, who's represented in the front gallery, and I guess we'll catch up with you a little bit later to see the east wing of the house.
Okay, perfect. We'll see you then.
All right. Well, Candace Eisenfeld, thanks for joining us. It's really a pleasure to meet you, and we've been admiring your work. Tell us how you came to be exhibited here in the front gallery at Shemer.
Well, it all started 2 years ago when I was exhibiting in other alternative spaces in Phoenix, and I invited the curator of Shemer to one of those shows. They came, they liked my work, and then invited me to do the show.
Well, let's talk about your work. Now, you work in acrylic, that's the medium you use. What is it that your work is about? I mean, there's landscapes, obviously, but give us a little explanation about what you're trying to convey.
I would say that my work focuses on the experience of wandering through life. I believe that human nature tends to always be going towards some kind of goal that we think will make us happy. And then once we get there, we'll change our focus, walk down a different path, always going towards that distant light in the horizon. So my paintings are about hope and about the fragmented experiences that are recorded along the way.
Well, let's look at this pairing right here on the wall. It's real interesting because it's such a juxtaposition. I mean, there's this, the Jacks is very realistic, you know, married to a really more abstract piece. What is going on here?
Well, you've picked out an interesting piece because this is unlike anything else in the show. As a whole, this particular body of work is about memories and histories, and this deals with childhood memories and histories. So, say maybe the reality of the child's world is playing with the Jacks, but then in the head, in their experience of being a child, they can look at a story, and maybe they're walking down a path and enjoying a different kind of reality, although the two are seen together in one painting.
Well, it's very rich colors in the abstract work. It's, you know, really vibrant. And I noticed that it has a different treatment on it from the other pieces in the gallery. It's got kind of a sheen to it. What is the treatment you're using here, and what's the purpose of having a different finish on all of your work?
Well, that's another interesting question, because in this show, every single piece that I've done is finished with a different kind of varnish or finish. In this piece in particular, half of the painting is left unvarnished, just raw, and then the other part is varnished, sanded, and then buffed to create a very, very high shine.
Now, the Shemer is for emerging artists, of course, and you are represented by a gallery. Where can we find your work?
You can go to Veneer on Main.
Okay, that's good to know. And just because we're here at the Shemer, we're doing really this profile, what is it that you appreciate about the space here?
Well, I really like Shemer Art Center because it's a unique art space as opposed to the other alternatives for artists to show, in that it's city-run. This house is very elegant, beautiful, and it's well maintained and organized.
And what would you say to other artists that are really just starting out? Because this is what the Shemer is for. It's to encourage emerging artists, and Arizona artists in particular.
I would say to any artist that wants to show a couple of things. First, be bold with your experiments. Don't be afraid to use new things and new ideas for fear of messing up. Two, I would say, as much as you can, force yourself to show your work in public and invite people, and invite curators of foundations and galleries, invite anyone you can to come view your work. And then, of course, if you're not getting where you want, if you're showing and you're still not getting the results that you want, just keep trying.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate those comments. And before we say goodbye, I just wanted to get a shot of a couple more of your pieces of work, whichever pieces you'd like to show us. I know there's a large, kind of a 3-panel piece in the other room here.
Okay.
Did you always feel that this is the outlet that was right for you? Were you always, say, an artist in your mind?
Absolutely. My mother is an artist, a painter as well, and so to keep us kids out of trouble, she just gave us some paints to play with, and then it developed naturally, and so here I am.
Oh, look what happened. Well, let's look at a couple more of your pieces. This is really beautiful. It's got the hummingbird motif in there. Give us a little explanation about what this means to you.
Well, this piece is called The Messenger, the bird being the messenger. And then there's two choices, or there's two places, two landscapes, one on top and one on the bottom, each with slightly different colors. The messenger is a symbol of maybe the viewer, and the two landscapes is maybe symbols of choices that the viewers have to make in their lives.
What kind of time does it take you to produce a piece?
That's a good question. It depends on if everything goes right. It really just depends on each piece. Some pieces, especially if they're small, can go pretty quick, produced and glazed within maybe 2 months. But other pieces, maybe that are larger, are pieces that I make just, change my mind on. For example, this piece took me about a year to do.
And this is a large canvas, certainly, and it's really almost a triptych in a way, the three sections. What is the theme here?
Well, all of my work, including this piece, goes along with the theme of choices and what each viewer has to decide what they want in their life. We're always faced with choices. So here are 3 different places, different experiences that are combined into one, giving layers of meaning to maybe one thought or one statement.
Well, it's a very, the thought or statement here, it seems quite tranquil.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well,
is that kind of it seems like a predominant theme in your work, really?
Yeah, a lot of my work tends to be tranquil, probably because when I imagine the ideas, I'm in a place, a very serene and calm place. I'm immersed in nature, I'm hiking, or I'm driving cross country, and I'm inspired, and I'm feeling very good and happy. And so that's reflective.
A good and happy artist, this is good.
Yeah, I'm not going to slit my wrists or anything, I mean, I do have work that's like that, but that's just for me to see. That's just for me to see. Or sometimes there is deeper meanings. For example, in this piece right here, maybe those thoughts and feelings tend to look buried underneath. Or maybe sometimes those thoughts and feelings are here in the present while the future is looking a little bit more optimistic.
Well, it's really been a pleasure to talk to you and get a little more insight on your work. We really appreciate talking to you, so thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. It's been fun.
We just spoke to Candace, which was wonderful to get her account of her work, so thanks for arranging that. This is very cheery. This is the original kitchen, just like it was back in the early 1920s.
That's correct, and even the original paint color. And you'll see the hardware on the cabinets going back to the 20s as well.
And I notice there's a call box over this door. This is a type of intercom system, I assume?
Yeah, that's correct. Now, all the rooms are numbered back there, and they each have a doorbell on the wall. You may have noticed that when we were back there. And so when they press that button, the maid would know which room to go to.
I always want my maid to know which room to go to. And now, there's an extensive cabinetry here, and you were going to point out where an extension was made at some point in the kitchen.
All right, let me show you that. The original kitchen was from here on, and you can see that break right there. Well, when the Sewers purchased the property in 1928, they wanted a sitting room for their maid and chauffeur, and so they added on this part here.
Oh, this whole expanded area. Now, this is used right now for what?
This is one of our classrooms.
Oh, okay.
And it's a very comfortable space for kids. And then we have access to the oven for the cooking classes and such. And
oh, great. So kind of a little bit of a home ec class goes on in here.
That's correct, as well as art.
You have a really interesting little old-time oven you wanted to point out.
We have one of the original electric ovens. It's from 1931.
That is great.
It's still in very good shape.
Nothing baking today, however.
No, not today. Generally, we use the one next to it when we do our cooking classes.
That is so great. What other kind of classes do you offer?
Well, we have painting classes and drawing classes and ceramics classes and some high-quality craft classes.
Now, these are for children and adults, is that true?
We start at children 4 years and above. Then we also have some team classes, an adult and a child can participate, and then, of course, our adult classes.
You have classes also for those with special needs.
Yes, we do. We call those Art for the Physically Challenged, and these are adults that have had strokes or have MS or any kind of brain damage. And we have a wonderful instructor that works with them every Monday, and it's a wonderful program.
That's fantastic. Now, we're going to go visit one of the children's classes that's taking place today. And before we go visit the kids, I noticed there's a really wonderful wall of painted tiles out there. And what is that? Is that your younger emerging artist?
That was from one of our summer programs. We have camps that go for about 9 days, and that was a project that they undertook, and then we had them mounted on the wall, and it's quite a sight to see.
Really nice. Well, we're going to go talk to the kids and see how they like being here, and I guess we'll catch up with you a little bit later.
Okay,
Perfect.
thanks.
All right.
Okay, here's papers. You said you were going to do a dolphin?
Tell me, what's the project going on here today?
Well, the kids these are all 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds, and we're working on a project where we're creating a frame. They've got some acrylic photo frames, and we're going to they've all got little white pieces that go around here, and the kids are drawing things that are meaningful to them and cutting them out, and we're gluing them on, and then we will glue that onto the acrylic frame.
Oh, that's great. So how long have you been teaching here?
I've been teaching the summer camp program here for about 15 years, and we do a really great summer camp program for the kids from about ages 7 through and up, really.
So what do you enjoy about teaching here at the Shemer?
Well, I like the kids. I like the small classes. I taught public school for a while, and I had 40 kids in my classroom, and I quit that year.
Okay.
I turned in a resignation at the end of the year.
This is a nice manageable group.
This is a nice manageable group. Most of the kids that come, they really want to be here. It's not like public school where they've been forced to be here, so the attitude is different.
And it's a beautiful environment too. I mean, that has
yes,
to
it is.
really help.
I've had kids ask if I live here.
Oh, of course.
Is this your house? Do you live here?
Well, kids, is she a good teacher? And there was a rousing response, I see. So we're going to go around and see what everybody's doing.
You're really getting good with those scissors. Hold them so they're comfortable. These are fine motor skills that they really need to have when they go into kindergarten. So it's important that they get a chance to use scissors.
And how else do you think it helps them just as being in preschool?
When you have kids that are, they need to be in some kind of a preschool program or something where they interact with kids and do things. Especially in art programs are fun because it's more kind of a play, but then they can develop fine motor skills. They get to interact with other children. They get to see, how their work compares, and it makes them feel good about what they've done.
Well, now I want to welcome Peter Chenin to the show. Peter, you're the exhibit coordinator.
Right.
And we just finished seeing some really beautiful examples of the sculptural work that's all around the property here.
Oh, the outdoor, yeah.
The outdoor. What's the selection process? How do you choose what's going to be placed on the property?
Well, actually, the outdoor is a lot different than what goes indoor, just because we don't put together any shows or any, particular artists for any particular period of time. It's basically just all during the year we'll look for somebody that we like, or somebody will come to us with some stuff that we like, and they just kind of loan it to us for a year at a time or more.
That's
if
really
they
cool.
sell it, it leaves. If they need it for another show, it leaves, that sort of thing. But we're just kind of lucky to have them on loan for a while.
So someone could call up and say, hey, I've got an 800-pound bronze sculpture that needs a home, and,
that's happened.
can I park it in your lawn for a while?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's pretty nice.
We're a little actually touchy about the lawn. The lawn is a feature in itself, so that gets very selective as far as what can go on the lawn. But otherwise, yeah, it just takes kind of what we can get.
Well, let's talk about your specialty, which is the artwork and the placement of the, curating the exhibits inside. Give us some background on how that works out, because I'm sure there's some artists out there that would really, be interested in being able to show here.
Sure, yeah, it's actually pretty informal here, just like everything else is. You mentioned curating. I don't do a lot of curating, which would mean that I would be selecting artists and the artwork and that sort of thing. We get groups that are pre-formed, they jury their own work in, and basically what we do, like the clay exhibit that is in there now,
Yes.
we just kind of give them a gallery to put their work in. And they jury it themselves and that sort of thing. We're involved in I place it and I get to put the show together,
Oh,
but the work is all somebody else's selection. There are shows that we do our own jurying for, where we'll actually put a panel of jurors together and they select things, and those are kind of our shows. And then once in a while I'll get to curate something where I do select the artist, that sort of thing. For example, we were talking about the outdoor artwork. Next year in February through March basically, we'll have a show in the main gallery that is all of the artists that you see outside will bring smaller stuff inside, so it's kind of a unique look at what they do on a smaller scale.
Well, we are out on the outdoor terrace area, the primary terrace, and there are a lot of, I guess, other special events that go on out here, receptions, etc.
Receptions, right? We, you know, every group of artists that goes in the main gallery, as well as the solo artists that, like Candace, that you talk to as an emerging artist up front, they get a reception on the opening day of their show. And if the weather's nice, we'll have it out here. Also, if the weather's nice, we'll do an artist cafe out here. That's another thing that I put together. It's we'll get a speaker or a panel of speakers that just address issues that artists are interested in. And for either a nominal fee, if you're a member, you get pretty much everything free here. And if you're not, then it's $2 to attend one of those. And
that's affordable.
You know, we have critiques, and we have lawyers that come in and talk about copyright law, and we'll have art critics come in and talk about what they do, things like that.
So that's called the Artist Cafe?
Right.
And that's held on a regular basis?
Monthly, except again, because of weather, we don't have them in the summer, and we won't have one in December because of the holidays, obviously, but it's usually around the end of the month, last Monday of the month.
Something I just wanted to point out before we hook back up with Chris is that the work here is all available for sale, but the Shemer doesn't make any profit from the work that's sold here. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, we're pretty unique, just in that we don't take any commissions. Not all of the artwork is for sale, but it is only the artist's choice. We don't have anything to do with that. If they have a personal connection to it, or if it's already sold, they'll mark it not for sale. But anything that is for sale, we actually would encourage a buyer to just write a check to the artist, so we don't have to deal with taking any credit processing percentage or anything like that. But no,
That's
pretty
fantastic.
much, yeah.
So what would you say, just in closing, to some artists that may be interested in showing their work here, have an exhibit? What's the best way to approach that?
It's very easily approachable. I mean, I take, all year long, I'll take submissions of slides or photos, whatever they feel represents their work. Depending on what time of year it is and how close we are to selecting things, it either needs to stay with me for quite a while, or I'll get it right back to them. But the groups, again, is the jurying process, so that's a more formal thing where they actually need the prospectus and they need to submit a jury fee and a certain number of slides and that sort of thing. The solo shows is pretty easy, where I just kind of put that schedule together. Chris and I will go over it and select some people, and then there's a final approval of the past president's committee that they basically just say yes to everybody we've picked. So.
And it will be easy, right?
It's very easy,
Okay.
yes.
Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thanks, Sydney.
We're in a courtyard that's been dedicated to someone very special. Would you tell us about that?
All right, this is a Carol Houston courtyard, and she was the original director of Shemer, and she took over when the place was just a house and brought it along for 15 years. So she did a remarkable job.
I wanted to plug a couple of programs you have coming up before we say goodbye. And you have a special program that involves high school students?
That's right. It's the New Horizons exhibit. We've been doing that for about 12 years. And we were really one of the first galleries or museums to recognize high school students. And since then, other people have joined, which is a great thing.
So what do they do? They get created and then it's exhibited here?
That's correct.
Okay.
We can take 5 pieces from 17 schools, and then we get a lot of sponsors. So there's awards and cash awards and art supply awards.
Fantastic.
And it's a great affair.
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful. Really appreciate all the time.
Thanks for coming by.
You're welcome. If you'd like more information on classes and upcoming events, call the Shemer Art Center at 602-262-4727.